Well, good morning, Michael.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good, man.
Welcome, listening, viewing family to the No Hissy Fit Zone.
Yeah. Bada boom.
Bada boom.
Let me see if I can.
How are things this morning in Florida? We got about a foot of snow yesterday in Massachusetts.
Yeah, we've been waiting for the snow, but nothing's showed up yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, it's still early, though. It's only like almost 9 o'clock.
Those weathercasters keep getting it wrong down there.
Wow.
We've been off for a couple of weeks. I missed you last week.
Yeah, so your trip was good to
I
California?
was out in California, which was wonderful. It was a quick trip. I mean, literally Thursday to Sunday. And half of Thursday was travel and all day Sunday was travel. So it was kind of like 3 nights and 2.5 days. But it was awesome. JD and the Retro Riders had a pretty big gig, so we're going out there for that. They had a guest drummer I heard about who jumped in, and we had some fun.
You heard about the guest drummer?
Yeah, I heard it was going to be me, so I thought I'd better be there.
Better be ready, eh?
Yeah, they did a great job. They did 3 sets at this place. Their first 2 sets were all their original music, which just keeps getting better and better. They are writing some really cool pop rock. Big 7-piece band, 2 female backup singers, and musicianship is spectacular. The drummer is amazing, and they really sound great. The third set was all covers, and so I jumped in on a Tom Petty tune, and we had some fun.
That's awesome.
But it's just neat to be, here we are in end of February. It's been a winter in Massachusetts, a mild winter, quite frankly, but to get to go hang out in 72 degrees and 78 degrees and sunshine and walk in the Huntington Beach Pacific Coast Highway, it was just spectacular.
So one of my friends, I think I told you, Mike Sawyers. He has
Love that name.
He has a booth at the flea market where he sells used musical equipment, and he's an artist, so he sells his own art and stuff and
Oh, wow.
albums and stuff like that. He's a real cool guy. And he was asking me, so what do you have for a rig right now? So I says, oh, I can't even explain it to you. I have to show you a picture. I was telling him the story about when you and Joe were in the car, and Joe asked that question. I says, I have to send you a photo. I can't explain it. He saw that photo. He was dying laughing. He was like, wow.
That is funny. I know the one you're talking about. I think you need to be either a guitar player or certainly a musician to fully appreciate that.
I know. It's funny, isn't it? Wow.
Oh, that's amazing. That is fun. So we had a great time out there. It was a lot of fun. My buddy Steve, Joe's brother, was out with his daughter Grace, who's one of my favorite people. And yeah, just restaurants and sunsets and pool, hanging out with the pool at the resort and poolside and
How was the weather out there?
It was really nice. It was just sun. I think for them it was a little chilly. Like even hanging out at the pool on Saturday afternoon, we were at the pool from like 11 to 4, just hanging out, waitress service, lunch, and it was great. But I had a hooded sweatshirt on at the pool and don't even think I took it off all day. I used a towel around my legs just for like a breeze, and you can control the sun with those big umbrellas, because I got a little bit of sun the day before. I literally was just looking into the sky, into the sun for 20 minutes. I was like, oh, I'm getting burnt already. It's amazing. But
So, don't take this personally, but putting the towel over your legs shouldn't be just for your benefit. It should be for the people that are there, so they don't get to see your legs.
Well, those are the ones who asked me to do it.
Oh, that's loud.
I think that was the wrong sound effect. And they were the ones, speaking of waitress service, oh, look at this. That's not my hand. These are my hands holding a cup of coffee. It was just delivered to me.
Is yours real coffee like mine?
We got similar looking mugs. Look at that.
I'm doing
It's a little lighter blue than mine.
the Zoom meeting special coffee. But as far as you know, it's just hot tea. It's funny when I do that, when I start pouring the thing, you always do the thing with your lips like you're doing it too or something. It's funny.
Yeah, hand delivered.
So who's the coffee deliverer?
The great LynnDevonKeepa.com.
Wow. You mean
Thank you.
From the mortgage company, right?
The mortgage company. Oh,
everything there it is.
That'd be the Cross Country Mortgage Group, the Devon Ash Group of Cross Country Mortgage.
Wow.
That can be a freebie because they already sponsored the show 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to charge them again. How's that invoice going, by the way? That get through the system yet? I brought you coffee, paid in full.
Paid in full. So, she bought coffee for you, but she didn't buy coffee for the other host. I mean, this two.
Well, she sees that yours was full already and didn't need you didn't need him topping off there.
Oh, I'm full of it, all right.
This is the second voice we've had on our podcast, other than you and I.
Yeah, but we're not going to have to
edit her cursing. No.
No, that's true. Or are we?
I'm just going to shut up.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And she's gone. Thank you. Edit her recording. That's funny. How's Jason? How's my man Jason?
He's crazy right now.
Oh, in a good way or a bad way? What's that mean, crazy?
I don't know, crazy, but that's not the right word. But a while back, he put a contract on a house that he wanted to buy.
Oh.
And the deal was that he gave the guy a $5,000 deposit, and then Jason would move in before they even closed, and pay him $500 a month to rent one of the rooms. And then after they closed, the guy could pay $500, didn't stay there if he wanted to, so he could have a place to live. Well, the guy didn't get reneged on the contract and kept his $5,000 deposit. So
that's not good.
So Jason is taking him to court and stuff and trying to. I said, listen, the guy doesn't want to sell the house. Just fight for the $5,000 that he owes you, but don't. This guy's like he's a Marine, ex-Marine guy. From what I hear, he's not all there, and you're gonna kick him out of his house. There might be problems there.
Wow.
But he's not really listening to that. Everybody's telling him to stay away from that. It can't be a good thing, and he's not really paying attention. He's so interested in getting the house that he might be putting himself in danger. I don't know. I shouldn't be saying it. It's a possibility.
But when you say crazy, that kind of is pretty descriptive, actually. The word crazy is funny, gets used all the time. It really doesn't have a definition unless each person defines it. But that's a pretty good crazy situation.
I think it is, yeah. So,
wow. Usually crazy means like, oh, I'm so busy. Crazy busy. That's what I think most people use it with these days versus that guy's literally tapped crazy.
Yeah.
Smaller situation.
Oh, I gotta hit the hot tea again. So I don't know.
What else is new? What's going on with you? What's happening?
So a real good friend of mine that we've been good friends since the 70s.
Whoa.
Had never watched one of our episodes, podcast. And the one that he watched was the last one where I was talking about what happened with me and Oyster Bone.
Uh-huh.
So he watched the first 7 minutes, and then he called me. He says, "Hey, what's going on?" He said, "I never watched your podcast." And I see that, and he's like totally trying to give me support and stuff. But that old saying, add insult to injury.
Yeah.
I don't think he meant to do that, but he did that to me.
Oh.
Because we're talking about it, and he's a real nice, awesome guy. But somehow he said, "Well, I know what happened. Why they fired me is because of Robin Williams." I'm like, huh? Because Robin Williams was one of those guys that was always on. I mean, always on. So much so that his friends didn't even like to hang around with him because they couldn't get a word in, or it was just too much. And I know I always try to be funny, but not like that. I'm not Robin Williams. So he slapped me with that, and I was like, "What the heck, man? There was not necessary." I think I'm going to change this podcast from being a nice guy to being a total jerk and tell people off. You know what I mean?
We'll have to change the name if you do that, but sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, Hissy Fit Zone.
Yeah. It's just who am I going to pick this week to have a Hissy Fit on? Did you call him out on this, or did you kind of say like?
No, when he said it, I was like stunned, and then I thought about it. I says, I should have said something. I'm going to say something. Say, please explain to me what you meant by that, because you got me reeling over here. I'm not sure what's going on. And he has a good sense of humor. I have a good sense of humor. We laugh all the time. We've done that since the '70s. And for him to say that, it's almost like he thinks I'm an overdoer or something when it comes to being funny. I'm not sure. I was just shocked by it. I was shocked by two things. Number one, that he had never seen one of our podcasts, and number two, that he said that to me.
Calls himself a friend that hasn't seen a podcast. Come on.
Yeah.
You got like 21 opportunities to watch podcasts now. And
I even talked to him about being a guest on the thing because he's such a cool guy and funny and very interesting. So I'd said, hey, maybe you should be a guest one of these days, and he never took me up on it. But now I'm talking about
that's three things to be upset about now.
Yeah.
Although I liked the very first thing you said was, I'm sure this guy didn't mean to make me feel this way, but
he did, yeah.
Because that's an important consideration. Like, his heart, and he's not looking to hurt you, but that's huge.
Well, now because of that, I'm questioning whether or not he ever really enjoyed having those conversations with me where I was being funny and he was being funny. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he thinks I'm
50 years? You think he's been faking it for 50 years?
I don't know. It was just strange, man.
I would say he's probably not been faking it for 50 years. And I think he also probably didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
You're right. I know you're right.
I know, you're hurt.
I'm trying to bring that up to him, but I don't want to hurt the relationship if that wasn't the intention, obviously.
So I heard this about a year and a half ago, and I've been talking about it and using it ever since. And it perfectly applies here and in any relationship. Seek to understand versus be understood.
Right. The other thing is that
not easy.
You and I have known from a thing that I did with it before. The guy with the experience is never at the mercy of the guy with the theory. Right. True. I was in that situation. My experience was 10 years of that with my ex band. And he has a theory about what happened, but I have the experience, so I can't. I'm not at his mercy.
Right.
So, by the way,
he was probably trying to come up with something to rationalize what had happened to make you feel better about it.
Yeah, but he assumed that I was doing something that, being on all the time. That's the reason why the guys fired me. He was wrong there because that had nothing to do with it.
Right. But I think his intent was to try to make you feel better about a crummy situation.
So remember how I told you I thought that the singer just wanted to bring a new guitar player that's a friend of his?
Yeah.
Well, they already played one gig, and the guy the guitarist that replaced me, is the guy that was in his band when he played in high school. There was a guitar player back then. So and then this guy goes and they do a gig. There's like, I don't know, we did 3 hours worth of music. How does the guy that never rehearsed with a band get in and just play all those songs, unless somebody was already getting together with him and playing those songs together or something? I mean, I don't know that for sure, but it seems to me like that's what happened.
Well, of course.
Sometimes I'm so smart that I hurt myself. I did say sometimes. Boom.
If I recall, last time we recorded, you were jamming with a couple of guys the next day.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So I think I told you about I should jam with these two guys that well, one of them is Fred, the guy that's a real good blues guy. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that had a stroke and couldn't play the guitar at all. He didn't even remember he had the guitar.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about Fred. Yep.
So then I told you about Jason. Jason had a heart attack and a stroke, and he says he can't play the guitar anymore. Because one time I was at his condo and he has 3 guitars on the wall. I said, "Hey, what's the deal with the guitars?" He goes, "Well, I don't play anymore." I said, "Why not?" He goes, "Because I can't play. I don't know how to play anymore." I said, "What do you mean you don't know?" So he's telling me that he doesn't know how to play. Then we did some real estate stuff, and then after I said, "Hey, let's go over to the living room. I want to sit down and talk to you." He goes, "What's up?" I said, "Let's go over there." So we sat down and says, "Grab one of those guitars, give me one, you grab one. Let's plug those things in, and let's play a song." So I told you I can't play. I says, "Yes, you can." So then he's looking at me like I'm crazy, right? He says, "So plug it in." So I says, "You know how to do an E chord?" He says, "Yeah." I says, "Play one." So he does a B chord. He says, "How about an A chord?" He goes, "Yeah, I can do that." I says, "Okay." So I started. I said, "Just follow me along," and I was changing from the E to the A, and I was doing something like a nice rhythm thing. And I started singing "Are You Ready" by Grand Funk Railroad. And his eyes lit up because he realized that he's playing a song. I think I told you that last week, right? Didn't I? Or 2 weeks ago. But anyway, he's all excited. So he came over here because he wanted to meet Fred, because Fred is the guy that couldn't play at all and now is like totally
Wow.
And so he came in and played a little bit with us. And at first he was kind of, I said, no, just grab the guitar and play. So I still have his guitar right here behind me. Because he liked it so much. He says, can I leave the guitar here? Because he's expecting for me to invite him back in or something. I don't know.
That sounds like it was a great day. My goodness.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Wow. But
All these
anyway,
stories. I feel like I want to help naming this band. This is got all sorts of stories, heart
well,
attacks and strokes.
the band that I was on, Oyster Bone, should be renamed to Backstabbing Boners.
I like that. It's got a nice ring to it.
Boom.
Have they kept their name?
Oh yeah, of course they're gonna keep the name. I don't even know how I can prevent them from using the name, but I would love to.
Yeah. That is ego and hurt. And I'm totally with you. My thought was that Terry never liked the name of the band anyway. So screw those guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Backstabbing boners.
Wow. So
Just make sure you run the next band name by Terry before you make it official. Start making banners printed.
my first band that I played in was called the Deep Freeze.
The Deep Freeze.
So
I think my first band I played in was called Lazarus.
So the first time we played, it was like 3 songs in between Louis' band. I don't know if I told you the story or not, but
It's a story.
huh?
It's going to be a story, no question. I'll tell you that. We're going way back.
So anyway, we taught us some songs. None of us had ever played anything before, except for his brother George played a little bit. None of us had an instrument. We never had anything. I told you how that we started doing it. But anyway,
I love that story.
we're supposed to play 3 songs during this band's break, and I was supposed to start up. I was supposed to do the intro to Jumpin' Jack Flash. But what he did is he turned the lights off in the hall because he had like stage lights. And I was supposed to do the intro. Then everybody's come in. He's gonna hit the lights, and it would be like a big thing, for 5 guys that had never played before in front of people or anything. But I wasn't doing anything. So he comes over and says, "What's the matter with you?" I says, he used a couple F words. He says, I says, "I can't see the guitar." He goes, "Oh, come on, man." So he went over and turned on one of the little lights. So I could see it.
Because you had to see where to put your fingers for the chord?
Yeah, I didn't know. At first, he put my hand on the thing and he put it on the guitar. He says, "Well, so what? Now I know what to do with the first chord is, but where are the other 2? I don't know where to go. I can't see it." He goes, "Come on, man." I says, "I don't know. I'm not you." So anyway,
I'm good for a 1-chord song.
but here's the funny part. Before that, we didn't have a band name, and the 5 of us we're in Marlboro, so we went to Rich's department store. I don't even know why. Just walking around, And
Rich's
then,
department store?
Rich's, I think it was called Rich's department store or something. But anyway,
Yep.
these sweatshirts with pictures of like cartoon penguins.
Okay.
If you can picture the picture thing was that it was like they were in a lake that was frozen and the snow was like pushed up to the sides.
Yeah.
And they were playing hockey. And the thing at the bottom said "Deep Freeze," right? And the letters had like the icicles on them and stuff. It was really cool. So I said, "Hey guys, how about if we each buy one of these sweatshirts? We could be called Deep Freeze." So they liked it, so we did it.
Wow.
The only problem was the sweatshirts were really hot.
Playing all these summer gigs,
Before we get to the 3rd song, we all wanted to take them off. I said, "No, keep them on. One more song. Come on." Deep Freeze, yeah, what a crazy thing, huh?
That's so funny. You got me thinking way back. So yeah, Lazarus was a band. God, what did we even do? I think and the funny thing was our first gig we actually got paid for was in a church hall. So here we are called Lazarus and we're playing a church hall.
Oh.
Of course, there was no connection there. We had no idea, there was a person named Lazarus or a story there, but we played this church hall, Our Lady of Fatima. We got paid $25. And I remember splitting up because each person got paid $6.25. There were 4 guys in the band. And I want to say we did, I don't know why this is coming up for me, but I think it was that Hendrix tune. I'll have to think about this for a second. That's so funny. All those early bands, Lazarus. And then there was another band later on. We played, of course, Battle of Bands in the high school gymnasium. Wow.
See, back then when you and I first met, I never knew that you were a musician back then.
Well, it's funny. By the time so this is all through high school. Like I started taking drum lessons in elementary school, like with the concert band, 5th grade, and then junior high. I still call it junior high school, although that term has gone away and been replaced by middle school. Just concert band stuff. And I guess I had a drum set and jam with guys like in basements. My friend Stein, I think I'm going to be with Stein next weekend. He's got a cassette recording of us doing really butchered Whole Lot of Love. I mean, we're talking like 19, I'm guessing 77. I mean, so, but then high school, and I went off to college and just dropped it. I didn't even consider myself to be a drummer. And I remember getting rid of the drums, and then it's funny. I never stopped tapping the steering wheel and just, doing that. I never realized how much of that really made me a drummer. And so then it was probably 20 years later, longer than that, I was out in California at Joe's house, and he's always been a playing musician. And what he would do with a guy was they recorded drum tracks and bass tracks to their music, and they'd play that through a PA system, and then they would play live guitar over the drum and bass tracks.
Wow.
And so I jumped behind the drum set to start to play along, and of course there was recorded drum tracks too. And it's like, you still got this, you got to do this. And I'm like, it's funny that so many times in life, the stuff that we do, you need someone else to believe in you first before you even start to believe in yourself around it, right? Yeah. And that was Joe saying, you still got this, you've got to do this. And he kind of sparked some interest, and I came home from there and bought a drum set. I remember that whole story on eBay. I saw this set on eBay. The guy didn't have one picture. He was selling a drum set, but he was local to me. So he had a phone number, I guess, because I went by to see the drum set. And I knew he wasn't going to sell this. It's not a picture. I said, listen, if the auction ends and it doesn't get sold, call me. So I bought the drum set from him and started taking lessons and jumped into a cover band, which evolved into Mr. Joe. I'm not sure you ever saw those guys, but it was pretty significant. And so I had started this whole track again. This has got to be, 10, 15 years ago. Wow. So when you and I first met in the 80s, I wasn't a drummer. It was in my hiatus.
Oh, okay.
That's funny. Long answer.
Whew, I'll never ask that again. Too funny, huh? So in the high school book, the high school yearbook, and they have your photo, and usually there's like a little statement underneath it or something, and people say whatever they want to do, whatever So mine said my name, and it said, "We'll buy a Les Paul guitar and learn how to play it."
Wow!
What do you think of that?
I heard that your high school voted you most likely to buy a Les Paul guitar and learn how to play.
No. Now, the other thing that's funny about my high school yearbook is that my photo was under my friend's name, and his was under my name.
Wow.
So the little thing about buying a Les Paul and playing it was under his photo, not mine.
What's that guy doing today? Is he playing a Les Paul?
I still get emails and stuff that for the yearbook thing or whatever, where you can go in and communicate with people from the school on the yearbook. Dear
Charlie, and you're still getting this thing?
No, I never signed up for that, but I get all kinds of comments. They send the thing saying, "Hey, do you know this person?" And I look at, I don't know. I went to a vocational high school, so we had a week of regular classroom, and a week of being in a shop. I was a computer programming and data processing guy.
Ah.
Whew. I mean, I don't even know why I chose that, except for I knew it was an up-and-coming thing, but that's not my thing.
Wow. What was the name of the school?
Assabet Valley Regional.
Sure.
And that's
Sure.
at the time, it was like a brand new school, and it was the first high school ever that had the computer programming program.
Yeah.
It was the first high school ever that belonged to the DPMA, which is the Data Processing Management something. I don't know what it was. But usually colleges would belong to that, but we were the first high school because we qualified. We had the top of the line equipment, and I actually had good grades on it. It just wasn't my thing. I never went to do that as a job.
Right.
That a general was going to hire me, but I was going to be on a third shift. I said, no, that's not what I signed up for, man.
They said, you haven't signed up for anything yet. We're offering you third shift. You said, no thanks. I'm going to go play Les Paul.
Yeah, I don't want to. Did you see that picture of Paul McCartney with Les Paul?
Yes.
That's funny, wasn't it?
Yeah. I saw another one this morning. Paul had just posted a picture of he and George Harrison yesterday. I think yesterday was George's birthday. Of course, he's been gone since 2000 or 2001, for 20 years. Can't imagine the friendship that these guys had. Oh, how about this for a story? So my birthday's not till October, and here we are, February.
I'll remember.
But,
I'll remember.
The Keepa has gotten me in 2 early birthday gifts.
Wow.
So as our audience recalls, during the quarantine, I became a Beatles fan. Yeah. Like a significant Beatles fan. Like I always kind of knew the tunes, and certainly our buddy Joe is probably the biggest Beatles. I've met him in 5th grade, and somehow it didn't, and then this happened, like a significant Beatles fan. So on June 1st, the Keepa and I are going to see Ringo Starr and the All-Star Band.
Wow.
Right in Worcester, he's playing on a Friday night, and then the following Tuesday, 6 days later, we're going to see Paul McCartney at Fenway Park.
Wow, that's awesome.
How amazing is that?
So you remember we talked before, because you were like trying to understand how you come to another country, speak a word of English.
Right.
So in the Azores, we used to listen to the Beatles on the radio. So you're gonna find this interesting. And I remember singing along with some of the songs that we'd hear that were Beatles songs, not knowing what they were saying, but singing along as well as I could.
Just copying the sounds of their English words.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then I come to America, and I learn English. And one day, one of those songs I used to sing along with, I'm not sure if it was a Yellow Submarine, I forget which one it was, but the song came on the radio, and I instinctively started singing along with it. And all of a sudden I said, whoa, that's what this song is about? Because I had
now
no
you
idea.
knew English?
Yeah. It's so strange.
So you caught yourself singing the words in English and knowing them and remembering singing them before and not knowing what it meant.
Right, yeah.
Yellow Submarine's kind of a weird concept to get your head around, too.
Well, a lot of the songs are I think they did a lot of drugs or something, because some of the lyrics just don't make any sense.
Well, they certainly did later on in their career. Wow. Crazy. Yellow Submarine, that would have been, let me not embarrass myself in the podcast, but I want to say that was, I don't want to say what I want to say. I don't even want to say it. I want to risk being
1960 something.
Yeah, I'm thinking Revolver, but I happen to have Yellow Submarine. Oh, thank God I was right. Yes, so Yellow Submarine was on Revolver.
It was?
Which was probably as they started to transition into a totally different time of their writings and where they were going, and cultural times, drug use, certainly. It was right after Rubber Soul. Rubber Soul was kind of the start of that. Like a lot of people call Rubber Soul the end of the beginning era of the Beatles, and Revolver was right after that. So they were definitely getting different. And Yellow Submarine was right there. I bet that was 67, I'm guessing, probably close.
So there's one of those late night shows where there's a British guy that is the host of the great, late night show. I forget his name now.
I know who you're talking about. Yes, I kind of consider him one of the minor late night guys, but I know Craig Ferguson.
No, it's not him. But sometimes you would have guests come in, and they'd go into the car and they'd do karaoke in the car.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, I know who that is. Yes.
So
carpool karaoke or something.
yeah, so he was interviewing
What's
Paul
his-
McCartney in England. They're driving around and talking about, and Paul McCartney was saying, "This is where I used to live. That was my house, right?" And I can't think of the guy's name because he's a funny guy. He can sing and stuff.
Come up with it. I'll search it because I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So this is kind of an interesting thing.
He's a performer and singer on his own, and very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I can't think of
James
it.
Corden.
Yeah. So Paul McCartney was saying, that's the house where I lived in right there. He goes, "Oh man, we should go over there, knock on the door, and see if they'll let you in so we can go see it." And Paul McCartney's looking like, he says, "Yeah, let's do it." So they went over there with cameras and they knocked on the door. Of course, the lady recognized Paul McCartney right away, and he says, "I used to live here." And then, what's that guy's name again?
James Corden.
Yeah. So he says, and then she says we could go through and just see the house. And she said, "Sure." So she opened the door, let him in, right? So that it was like
Open
really
the
cool.
door, let him in.
Let 'em in, yeah.
Oh, see what I did there?
So then they go to a bar to have a drink, right? And
Oh, when they play the band.
well, what happened was somehow they ended up with an acoustic guitar in their hand or something, and they're singing a song at the bar. And now there's people outside that saw that he was in there, so they start coming. So now, next thing you know, the bar's like totally full of people while the two of them are playing and singing and stuff. And all of a sudden, there's like a loud noise, and there was a curtain that opened up, and there was a band.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
I have. So the first part I saw was when they're in the car together. And James Corden is a performer and singer and very good. So he starts to sing this Beatles song. I forget the song. Paul McCartney's next to him. Paul McCartney starts to sing it with him.
Right.
I want to say Eleanor Rigby. I don't know what it was. And James Corden starts crying as they're singing. Like it was so emotional.
Of course, yeah.
And so then I saw the extended version of that whole thing. And my understanding of that, they were in a club, they had a whole band set up, and apparently I think there was a jukebox. And so somebody would go pick a Beatles song, and instead of the jukebox playing, the curtain opens up and the band plays the song.
It was amazing. The people in there were like blown away because they weren't expecting that.
And it's Paul McCartney live in this club in, I think, Liverpool. Must have been Liverpool, right?
Yeah,
And before they know it, the club is just jammed. And my understanding of the house that he grew up in was that that's preserved as a museum, or maybe that's the wrong word, but and the woman was basically working there.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, yeah.
And I heard a story, I think I heard Paul interviewed, we often talk about podcasts. So one of my favorites, but a podcast I enjoy is called Smartless, and it's hosted by those three actors, Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes.
Yeah.
And they had Paul McCartney on as a guest early on, and I think it was on that when he was talking about, he said some great stuff. If you're at all a Beatles fan, that's an episode worth listening to, because he says stuff on that podcast around the Beatles and stuff that George had said. He's hysterical. He curses on it like you don't expect it. But he talked about the tour through that, and he said, "We're all done." The woman tried to charge me because you get charged to take. He's like, "This is my house. I'm not paying you to tour my house."
Wow.
Oh, that's funny.
Crazy.
Wow. My buddy Joe, your buddy Joe, JD and the Retro Riders, met Paul McCartney. I'm actually working this into some of the talks I do, because he basically set up, he just knew one day he was going to run into him, which is such an amazing expectation. Like they say, wake up every day expecting great things to happen. Like, what a great mindset. So he was in London. He was in, I don't know where he was, London. And he was with his brother Steve, and they had split up or something like that. And he saw him walking a dog across the street, and he stayed there knowing that he had to come out. And Joe's story was, I didn't want to be one of those typical fans and be all over him. I just want to, when I see him, I was going to say thank you for the music, which is such a beautiful thing. And he had just been married to Heather, who he's no longer married to. And so he stayed right where he was. Steve got a grainy picture of him, of Paul McCartney coming out of this, going in or out of this. Strategically, he stayed in this corner knowing that they were, so Paul and Heather walked by, walking a dog, and they stopped. And instead of saying thanks, he just said, "Congratulations on your marriage." And Paul looked at him and then turned to Heather and said, "Well, that's very nice." And then they walked off. And I think from Joe's perspective, he said, at that point, my life is complete.
I think
Such a cool story.
Paul's a real cool guy, I think. From everything I've ever seen, he's. Were you familiar with the fifth Beatle?
Well, that's a long conversation because there's a lot of people who are looking for that title.
Well,
I'm the eighth retro rider. I'm just not sure about the fifth Beatle.
I don't know if you can see it or not, but there it is, the fifth Beatle.
Oh boy, hold on. Oh, the one between George and Paul, parked on the left.
Yeah, the white one, yeah. So you know what's interesting is I was sitting with a friend of mine having a coffee the other day, and we're talking about something, and I'd say something, and he'd grab his phone and research it, right?
Yeah, just like you were doing, because I saw you looking down, as I'm doing right now.
Right. So then I said to him, do you remember when we used to be able to have a coffee and have a conversation, and you didn't have to qualify everything that the other guy said? He goes, huh? I says, well, I mentioned a couple of things. You have to check them on Google to see if it's true or not.
That's how I just came up with James Corden.
Says, you used to believe me when I said something. Now you have to check everything. Can we just have a conversation without you checking what I said on Google, see if it's good?
He said, hey, dude, you're pissing me off. See if it's good. I'm looking for something. Yeah. So the fifth Beatle, speaking of Beatles fan, the license plate of that car is 28 IF. And of course, Beatles lore worked that into this whole story around the Paul is dead concept. Like he would have been 28 if he had lived.
Wow.
Kind of cool. So they can work anything and just kind of create a story about it. But that's one of the storylines around that Abbey Road cover and the whole Paul is dead thing. Hence the bare feet in that. My friend Joe was telling me the photo shoot for that. I mean, there were probably, I was going to say dozens, probably hundreds of picture taking of them crossing the street. And then they had to get that one, which is the album cover. All the legs are lined up. You can imagine about how many got trashed trying to find that one perfect one.
And they must have put that Beatle up there on purpose because.
Good question. Good question. There's also a live webcam that you can, I don't know the name of it or the address, but you could search it and it's just constantly showing that view down Abbey Road. It's on all the time.
Wow. That's crazy.
And you can rent space. You can rent recording space in the Abbey Road studios. There's a podcast I listen to. One of my favorite Beatles podcasts is called Screw It, We're Just Going to Talk About the Beatles. That's the name of the podcast. And it's out. This is one of my faves. I love it. And at one point, the host, Will Hines from Los Angeles, we should get him to be a sponsor of the No Hissy Fit Zone. He's next on my list. He doesn't know me, but I know him. Went to London, and rented space and recorded 2 of his podcasts in the Abbey Road studios.
Wow.
How cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, so many stories there. So that Abbey Road was their last album they recorded. And it was, they released Let It Be after it. And that was the whole Get Back 8.5-hour TV series on Disney Plus over Thanksgiving. That whole thing was about the Let It Be recording. But it was done before Abbey Road. It was just released afterwards. So Abbey Road was their last recording stuff. And oh, what a beautiful album. So many people's favorite album. Many people's favorite. That's the one. The second half is the whole medley. They had all these pieces and bits, and they made it into an incredible medley, which is a lot of people's favorite Beatles song.
So there's a movie, I'm not sure if it's out or not, but about the life of the Beatles or whatever. Have you seen that?
There's a few. The most recent one was this one called Get Back, which was done over 3 nights, and it was just, there's 58 hours of footage around the filming of the making of the Let It Be album and the rooftop concert. So they took the 58 hours and edited it down to like 3 nights of a couple of hours each, called Get Back, and that came out Thanksgiving. There's another one called 8 Days a Week, done by Ron Howard, which is about the touring years early on. There's a lot of movies out there about the Beatles.
8 days a week, wow.
8 days a week. Think about that. This is a band that broke up 52 years ago. And still, how much we talk about them and how much their music still affects our culture and people and young kids today, hearing this music, and it's still timeless.
Wow.
In fact, Will Hines, the host of Screw It, we're just going to talk about the Beatles. It's a great podcast. I recommend anybody checking that out. Jokes about the fact that he was born, I think, 1970 or 71. He goes, I wasn't even alive when the Beatles broke up. And yet he goes on to do this. There's, I don't know how many, maybe at least 100 episodes of that podcast.
That's awesome, huh?
Fascinating. And I love the story about you singing these songs. It's kind of like in the Azores, not speaking English and hearing this and singing along. And what a cool story. It reminds me, like here in America, we got some song, I'm trying to think of one where there's lyrics that are suddenly in a different language, and we sing along to them, but we don't know what we're saying.
You know that like America's Got Talent or whatever those shows?
Yeah.
Well, I was watching, I was in my in-laws' house one time, and they were watching TV, you know, the Portuguese thing, the channel or whatever. And it was one of those things. It was like Portugal's Got Talent. And so a lot of the people that were singing, they're singing English songs, you know, English. You can tell by the way they pronounce the words. They have no idea what they're saying, but they're singing the songs because they learn how to. It's crazy, isn't it?
That is so cool. I love that story. Suddenly you're fluent in English and you're singing the same song and you remembered singing it when you didn't know what you were saying.
Isn't that something?
Gosh, that all started with Yellow Submarine. We just brought it all back. It all full circle.
Whew.
We're getting good at this podcast stuff.
You know, we should have a podcast every once in a while. I think it's let's just make a deal though. Let's not have any hissy fits during the thing. Maybe once in a while we should have one.
Sounds.
Wouldn't that be something if one day we had a real hissy fit?
That's it. We're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
It was a good run.
We got 22 episodes out, and now we had a hissy fit, so we can't do this thing anymore.
Listen, we outlived the last crew.
He's still contacting me. He wants me to go with him to some golf thing. I forget what it's called. It's not really a golf course, but it's like a bar.
The mini putt hole.
No, it's like a golf course. They're playing golf on a screen or something, so they're hitting the ball.
Oh yeah, that's becoming a very big deal.
I think it's Top Golf or something like that.
Yeah, Top Golf is the big one, and they got locations in some of the bigger cities, and it's a very big business entertainment client appreciation. They go out because there's waitress service and there's bar, drinks, food, and then you're also hitting golf balls into this screen. You can pick the golf course you want to play. Pretty cool. I've never been to a Top Golf.
I played golf once with three guys that were playing for a long time, and they invited me to go, so I went. A USF golf course.
USF.
Yeah.
USF.
University of South Florida.
University of Southern Florida.
So these guys
Took me a minute.
These guys have been playing for a while, and they were good. I didn't know what I was doing, but for some reason, the 3-wood seemed to work for me for everything. And there was one time
you're preaching to the choir.
So there's one time where I actually sliced it, and the ball went off the thing. So I was supposed to go get the ball, so I jumped on the golf cart, and I went to get the ball. But instead of picking it up, and I was trying to kick it back with one-handed from the golf cart. You know, and it was funny. I guess the guys were laughing, but there's 4 guys playing behind us. I didn't think it was funny because, you know, these guys like. So when I came up there, they're like making comments. I thought they were joking around. So the guys I was playing with said, "Tony, no, these guys aren't kidding. They don't want to be held back. He says, okay." So I said, "Sorry, man. You guys play through then."
Yep.
And I didn't even know the lingo, but
play through. You got it. Listen to you.
But they asked me if I wanted to do it again. I says, "No, it's not my thing, man." So when the old guy Mike of Tony and Mike on the Mike podcast, I was trying to get, you know, we hooked up again.
I used to listen to that podcast. I don't know. They fell off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened over there.
So anyway, but like you said, tell me, let's meet at Top Golf or something. I said, "You obviously don't know me that well. That's not where I want to go."
So you were driving the cart, and then you tried to hit the ball with your club as you drove the cart past it?
I was in the cart, the golf cart.
And tried to hit the ball.
trying to hit the ball, and I hit it, but it didn't go all the way up to where I wanted to go. So it was like one.
So you went from golf to polo. I thought you were going to say you're trying to scoop the ball up with your hand as you drove by. It's a common move.
No.
I was prepared. When you started this story, I was ready for a joke. Like I played golf once and I was doing great until the windmill, that kind of thing.
I do that joke all the time, yeah.
I know you do. So much so that even I know it.
And that joke, I have to blame on Robin Williams, obviously.
Well, we can blame a lot on Robin Williams, apparently.
Yeah, he's not around anymore, so we can. Wow.
So my son, Zach, who is quite the golfer, I might have mentioned this last time, had his very first hole-in-one.
Yeah.
In Florida, not too far from you. He's down in Lakeland. Lakeland's not far from you, right?
No.
And he was at a golf course called DeBrow or something like that. That's the name of the town. But had his first hole-in-one, which is kind of a conversation that happens amongst golfers. Like, have you ever had one? And the vast majority say no. Even my father-in-law, who's been playing golf for literally 75 years, has never had one. So Zach got his first hole-in-one. Very excited.
So I told you about some clients I had that I sold a house to at the Eagles, which is a golf course here in Tampa.
Yeah.
And then after they moved in, they called me up and said, "Hey, Tony, we have our houses all set up. We have everything decorated. I'd like to have you come over and have a coffee with us." I think I told you about this story.
Well, they must have liked you.
Oh, yeah. Some people do.
Oh, yeah. Some people do. Most. Come on.
So now there's a picture of a frame on the wall of her in a golf course, like on the green, and she had the thing, the club in her hand and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the name of the golf course was somewhere in North Carolina or something.
Yep.
And it said something about hole-in-one.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Whoa, did you get a hole-in-one?" And she said, "Yeah." And her husband started laughing. He goes, "Honey, tell him what happened."
Tell them the story. Oh boy.
So she smacks him with the elbow, and I says, "Oh, what's up? There's some kind of story here." She goes, "Yeah, tell her, honey." She goes, "All right." So we're playing golf, and I hit the ball, and I know it landed near the green. So then, when we walked up there, I couldn't find the ball anywhere. So I'm walking around to see if maybe it rolled off to the edge of some. I'm looking for the ball, and one of the guys we're playing with said, "Check the hole," or the pocket, whatever they call it. What do they call it?
Hole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes, "Oh, yeah, right." She's not really.
Oh, yeah, right.
So she goes over, and the ball is in the hole. So she got a hole-in-one without knowing that she even hit it.
Mm-hmm.
She just didn't see it. But they had that thing in the wall, so it was kind of a cool story.
It's a big deal. People get that, and they have these little holders, piece of wood thing that says a one, and there's a little hole to put the ball in it. And you can, it's a big deal.
That's nice, yeah.
Big deal. Most people save the ball. They get pictures and video. It's really it's possible, depending on the lay of the land, that you don't see it go in. Like her situation. My first question to Zach was, "Did you see it go in?" And he said, "Yeah," from where he was. So he bounced it. It was 147 yards. He said he hit a 3/4. 9-iron, meaning a 3/4 swing, because he knows distances, and he bounced it in front and plunked it in, second bounce right in the hole.
That's awesome.
And he saw it. So of course the friends go crazy. There's video of him a few minutes later getting the ball out of the hole, and his face is lit up. You can just amazing.
Does Zach call me Uncle Tony or no?
I think he does. Yeah. Well, when did he call you last time he called you?
You know what? I can verify that on Google, buddy. So don't lie to me.
Oh. Well, what did he say last time he called? Hey, Uncle Tony.
Uncle Tony, yeah. How's Uncle Tony doing over there?
Uncle Tony. I don't know why I just immediately drop into the Italian accent, because I keep thinking about The Sopranos. Uncle Tony.
So by the way, thank you for doing this
Uncle
early.
June.
Thank you for doing this early, because Terry has a class here coming up, and I'm going to go another 5 minutes. I'm going to cut you down. I'll cut you off.
Plus, I came into the conference room here to do this and did not bring my charger. So last time I did this, we literally said goodbye and my computer died, which is why I just did this to kind of see how much power I got left over here. Not much. How long have we been at this? This feels like we started 13 or 14 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. No, we started.
I was making a joke.
Yeah, we're almost, I think, an hour into it.
No way. 38, 10,
so.
48. I think we're probably there. 47 minutes, 13 seconds. Totally guessing. Yeah.
which is probably the
Well,
right
let's
amount
wrap
of
it
time.
up. Let's save some of the good stuff for next time. This is episode 22. We
I
are
was gonna
giving
say,
our
We're not that talented, so for us, 45 minutes should be our limit anyway. Because if we go longer than that, people are probably saying, "When are these guys going to stop talking?"
I really was in it for the first 45 minutes, but then it went really downhill.
Yeah.
That's what most of the comments are. So we listen to our audience. We'll edit. We'll change.
Where in California is Joe at?
Huntington Beach,
Huntington Beach, yeah.
which is Orange County, south of LA, about an hour north of San Diego. What a beautiful spot. What a nice piece of the world.
Nice. All right, so
Can't say enough about the Hyatt Resort on Pacific Coast Highway either. What a spectacular place.
what do we want to say for the for the outro?
Outro. See you next time. I don't think anyone's using that.
See you next time. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Yeah.
That's funny. We had a lot of factual things around history of the Beatles and stuff going here. So if there's any corrections, we don't consider ourselves to be experts by any stretch of the imagination. So is there a chat box in the bottom of this? People can make corrections for us because we're happy to. We listen to our audience.
No, I blocked that out so that people can't do that.
That's like the old customer complaint box. Please put your complaint here in the box.
I mean, if there's a way for me to say positive comments only.
Ooh. Hey, so here's a crazy story, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Next Saturday, I'm going to be in Florida.
Are you?
Yeah.
Where?
Jupiter. So I got my boys from 7th grade, 5 of us. We go back to 7th grade together, and we get together. I used to say every year. COVID kind of messed it up, but one of us lives in Jupiter, Bennett, whose birthday's today. Happy birthday, Bennett. I got to call him when I get out of here.
So those are the ones that
for a weekend.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, my thought was, do I bring the laptop and do we do a podcast like we do, where we're both in Florida, but it's still a Zoom like this? Because Jupiter, other side of the state from you.
Would you have the boys on it? That'd be kind of interesting.
Oh, we could do that. We're getting very guest heavy here. We got the keeper today, and then we got boys next week. Very guest heavy.
Is that the same group that went to see Get the Lead Out in
yeah, so we move around with this trip. And so when they came to Worcester for a weekend, boy, that would have been 4 or 5 years ago. When they came to Worcester for a long weekend, my surprise for them was I rented a van and we went up to Hampton Beach and we went and saw Get the Lead Out. Of course, we all grew up as crazy Zeppelin fans, and so that was a great night.
Well, that's got to be awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that, but I couldn't find 5 friends that would hang around with me all these years.
I got that one guy from the 70s. Well, he's in question. We're going to put him in the penalty box for now, and next time through, you'll let us know if you solved that. He was absolutely just trying to help you through the process.
Well, I'm going to say that today's sponsor is Robin Williams.
Where do we send the invoice?
May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Actually, one time I saw that there was a video that I saw that he was with a group of people that were his friends, and nobody could get a word in because he was so funny off the wall all the time that it was like ridiculous. So I'm pretty sure that's what my friend was saying about that. But I don't know why he associated me with that kind of personality. I don't do that much. Do I?
I think he was trying to say you were a funny guy and people enjoyed that. I think he was just trying to help explain what could have happened because there's not a real answer there.
You know, us Portuguese, we're not all stupid, am I?
Let's wrap it up right there.
You know, who used to say that was Jim Picard. He'd say, hey, throw me down the stairs my shoes. So he'd say, us Frenchmen, we're not all stupid, am I?
Oh.
All right, buddy. Thank you for sitting in a little earlier. I appreciate that.
I love you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, buddy. Let's see if I can